It's been a while. It's time for the legal desk, and with me is lawyer Asamoah. Good morning, sir. How are you doing? Good. Now let's see if my legal mind is still active.
I'm sure it is active.
If you've been following the legal desk with Sandra and lawyer Asamoah, then you know they've been talking about labor law. Specifically, this morning we're going to be talking about termination of contracts of employment. Is that correct?
Yes, that's so.
Good. First question is, how long can or should an employment contract be valid for?
Right, an employment contract is a contract between an employer and a worker, and they normally would agree on the terms of the employment.
Okay.
So at the time that the worker is employed, they may state that it is for 1 month, it's for a year, it's for 5 years, or sometimes they don't say anything at all. If they don't say anything at all, then the idea is that it's indefinite.
Okay, so that's actually what I was going to ask next. Is there a possibility that contract can be indefinite?
Yes, in principle, it can be indefinite, but the parties, any of the parties, can have the right to end it. Right. You know, we stated right from the beginning that when we talk about contract of employment, it's not a contract of servitude. I cannot force you to employ me forever.
That's right.
And you cannot force me to also work for you forever.
Yeah.
And so at any point in time, one of us may decide that enough is enough, except that the person must do it in accordance with the law, according to the provisions of the law. But one way or the other, somebody can terminate the contract.
Okay. Now, in regards to the duration of the contract, whether it's indefinite or for a certain amount of period, what are the laws of the land that govern the actual duration of the contract?
Yes, and that is what makes labor law a little complex, because normally when we talk about contracts, we have principles in contract law. But labor law, apart from normal contract law, has got its own provisions, sometimes in the Labor Act or in the Constitution. So now we have a number of laws that govern labor law. Let me try it very fast. One, the agreement they make.
Right.
The letter of appointment states this and this and this and this.
Right.
Then they have conditions of service. Most organizations, after employing you, they'll give you do so. Then you have to give good reasons. If you don't give good reasons, then the law would be like you have acted wrongfully.
Let me ask you this. I mean, just outside this briefly. For instance, there are certain sectors of work whereby they're not permitted to, for instance, strike. We're talking about doctors, security forces and such. Now, if in that situation, their contracts, or they wish to terminate their contracts with whoever their employers are under that kind of circumstance, are they able to do so?
Yeah, they'll be able to do so. Like we said from the beginning, nobody can be locked up in an employment forever.
So no matter what.
Yes, so except that there are always procedures. And normally the problem that we have when issue of termination arises is because of procedure.
Right.
Whether you follow the procedure as per the agreement, as per the law. Now, which law? It may be because of the employment contract itself, the collective agreement, or the Labor Act, or the Constitution. But which one way or the other, you must comply with the law. And once you comply with the law, no problem. And usually it's about giving notice.
Yeah. Okay. Now, is there the retirement age? Because obviously we just spoke about some people being terminated before the retirement age, some being compelled to actually work until the retirement age. What is the official retirement age in Ghana?
It's 60 years.
It is 60 years.
Yes,
Does it differ between male and female?
No, it's flat for everybody.
But in the UK and America, it is different from male and female, so that's why I was asking. Now, what's the general rule when it comes to termination?
Now, we talk about general rule about termination. An employer, first of all, you have to tell me whether it's about the employer or the worker.
Let's start from the employer.
Yeah, the employer is permitted to terminate the contract by giving notice. That is the thing. Usually, you can terminate at any time, and except that you must give notice. What is called reasonable notice.
That usually is within the contract, stipulated within the contract notice.
Usually. If it is not, then we have certain guidelines. If the contract is that of a monthly contract, then we expect you, in fact, no, if you are paid monthly, then normally it is calculated, you are given a month notice.
Right.
All right. On the other hand, if it is not, then depending, for senior officers in particular, it may be 3 months.
That's right.
Sometimes for people on probation, it may be 2 weeks. But usually there's a need to give notice in order to support the termination of a contract. Yes.
Okay, great.
A contract.
All right. Can the contract and employment Can the contract of employment in regards to retirement of a person be effected before the compulsory age? I mean, so for instance, force people into retirement.
No. I mean, especially if the Constitution has said so. You see, now, like we said, law is graduated. We have the source of law, the power. Okay, so in this context, the Constitution is the highest law.
Supersedes all of them.
Then we have the Labor Act, then we have the collective agreement, and then we have the employment of the employment contract itself. And so long as the higher law has stated a particular age, then the lower law cannot change it. And so you can't compel somebody, or they must give reason. They must give reasonable basis why you are doing it. And that is where the issue comes, because if the basis is not reasonable, then it can be challenged. All right. But if it is reasonable in terms of accepted in law, that given ABC reasons, you can't terminate, then that one, it is lawful.
Okay. All right, Lawyer Sam, I think we're going to actually end it here, because tomorrow we're going to be continuing on what are the forms of termination.
Yes, and that's very important. Here we'll be talking about differences between termination and dismissal.
That's right.
There are different terms in law, and the implications are also very different.
Very different as well. All right, I want to say a big thank you to you, Lawyer Samba, for coming in. This has been The Legal Desk. We've been talking about termination of contracts and labor law specifically this morning. We will continue tomorrow. Join us, and we'll be back in just a few moments with